everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I've got another cool little Procreate video for you guys. So I'm very excited for today's video. We're actually going to be making a little cute little lo-fi looping GIF like the ones you see on the lo-fi playlists on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of those as I work, so we're going to be making one of those today. But before we get into that, I'm very glad to say that today's video is sponsored by PaperLike. So as you probably noticed from the video, I bought a new iPad, which means I needed a new screensaver. So if you don't know who PaperLike are, they are a company that makes screensavers for iPads that feel and mimic the feel of paper. So they not only mimic the feel of paper, but they also sound like you're writing on paper, which is great for if you are an avid ASMR fan. So with the new PaperLike screensavers, you get more control of the Apple Pencil when writing, sketching, or drawing on it due to the paper-like resistance and roughness that it gives. Basically, the texture makes your Apple Pencil have a better grip on the iPad when you're drawing with it, and I find it really enjoyable. The new PaperLike model drastically reduces glare and fingerprints, which is an excellent new improvement that they've made. It's a lot more friendlier to the Apple Pencil tip, which basically means it doesn't wear down the Apple Pencil tips. So every package from PaperLike includes a set of 2 PaperLike covers, an application, accessories, and stickers that make application super easy. They also ship worldwide for free with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So basically, PaperLike, I really recommend them. I really enjoy their products, and if you want to buy something off of their shop, you can use my link that's on screen right now, and it won't cost you more at checkout, but it will help me out a lot. Thank you so much to PaperLike for sponsoring today's video. So I actually sketched out the little design that I wanted to do yesterday, and it's of this florist, this flower shop. I just did like the rough sketch of the elements, and today what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to take a different colored pencil and identify on the sketch which elements are going to be moving, and those are the elements that I'm not going to be drawing in the illustration part of today's video. So I'm going to identify which bits I actually intend to make move in the GIF animating part of the video, and everything else I'm going to draw out as if it were just a normal illustration. So all the bits that are in blue that you can see here are going to be moving in some way, shape, or form when we actually take the illustration of the flower shop into another canvas and actually make it move. So I turned down the opacity of this sketch layer and went in with my inking pen. I'm using the Reed pen. I like it because it's got like some sort of texture on it, and it just makes things look a little bit more pencil-like, if that makes any sense. I went around and I just started the inking process over the whole thing, and some of you might be wondering why it's spelt weirdly over there on the sign. It's actually florist in Portuguese is what it says on there. I don't know why, I just wanted to make it Portuguese. There's this really beautiful flower shop next to where I live that's also a coffee shop, and it's like one of my favorite places in the world. So I don't know, I just felt the need to make it Portuguese. I don't know. So I went around and started inking all of the lines, and they're not going to stay black. I intend to make them into a overlay or a multiply layer once I actually start coloring, but just for the purposes of seeing what I'm doing, it is in black right now. I also wanted the illustration to have this really cute little garden on the outside part, and it's going to have basically where they plant all the things that they sell at the shop, and it's going to have this really cute fence going around it that I'm going to draw out right now. And I thought I'd, you know, keep it really cute and in the lo-fi fashion, and add, of course, some fairy lights and some cute little hints of light. And just, I wanted to play around with lights in this one because since I'm not having any moving lights, I thought I might as well go crazy with it. So there's going to be like this little spotlight over there in the top right corner. That's like the main lighting area of this garden. And then there's going to be some fairy lights coming out of it and going into like behind the building and stuff like that. So yeah, this garden bit is probably my favorite part of the illustration. I just think it looks so cute, and I'd love to have a garden like this one day. And of course, you can't have like a flower shop without having a bunch of hanging macrame flower pots. It's just a given. So I drew a bunch of them out, and I left one out without being drawn because I'm actually going to make it like sway in the breeze a little bit. Oh, this part was also really fun, sketching out all of the little like gardening tools and just having them laying down there on the floor. And it was just really fun drawing out all the elements. I normally don't get to do very detailed drawings like this, but when I do, I find that I really enjoy drawing all these like little tiny elements. It's like making a puzzle. It's really fun. I also drew out a bunch of little rocks and pebbles and stones to make like a sort of pathway on the garden there, and I think it ended up looking adorable. It's very, you know, very Stardew Valley, very right down my lane. And then I drew out the lights and the little spotlight over there in the top right corner. I was just basically doing all the last details here, just drawing out the name of the shop over there at the top and all the other tiny little details that I went back to add. And once that was done, I deleted the sketch layer and I lowered the opacity of the line art layer, and then went in and started coloring. And the reason why I lowered the opacity of the line art layer is because of this reason right here. So I was intending to turn everything into a overlay, and because I didn't want there to be like weird uncolored bits underneath the line art, I always lower the opacity just to make sure that I've properly lined up to the edge of the line art layer, so that once I turn it into an overlay or a multiply layer, there's no like empty bits, if that makes any sense. I hope that made sense. But yeah, I turned the line art layer into an overlay, and this basically, if for anyone who doesn't know, it basically turns the colors that are underneath it into just a darker color. Yeah, I have a whole video where I explain this technique on my channel if you guys are interested in seeing that. But it's just one of my favorite things to do on Procreate. I can avoid having to do colored line art. It just does it for you. And then I colored in the little fence here. I am obsessed with how cute this fence is. It's very Animal Crossing, so, you know, just saying. Totally not inspired by the games that I'm playing on my Switch recently. Nope, none at all. This part is always really fun as well. I love doing like coloring in. It's like doing a coloring book. It's just always so relaxing and so fun. I just get to like shut off my brain pretty much and just like color away. It's very, very fun. I do really recommend it if you're looking for something to get your mind off of things at the moment. Doing something like this is really fun, and you know, it's very happiness inducing because it's very colorful. Just coloring in all the elements here, bit by bit. And then I added an extra layer for all the glasses, all the glass windows and doors, and lowered the opacity of that. And then added another layer on top where I'm going to be adding the glass highlights like this. And that one's also going to be at a lower opacity, but at a higher opacity than the actual glass layer, if that makes any sense, just so it actually shows up. And then I went into coloring in all the little elements on the rooftop area here. I drew out some seed bags and some extra tools and stuff like that over at the top. And I just find it really cute. I really like how it ended up looking. I did different colors for the handles of the different tools, and I found that it was very fun, and it just looked really colorful. And that's also where the cat is going to be once I actually get into animating this little thing. That's where there's going to be a little sleeping cat at the top there who's going to be wagging its tail in its sleep. I also added in all the macrame / however you want to say it strings for all of the floating flower pots, as well as coloring in all the really cute little gardening utensils and the pebblestone pathway in the garden out there. And this is where all those years of designing my own rock paths in Animal Crossing are going to come in handy, because it's when I'm going to actually be highlighting and shading these, and I'm an absolute pro at doing those, so just saying. I then of course added as you can see, the spotlight over there at the top. I lowered the opacity and made it fade out. And then with that light source in place, I started adding all the highlights and the shadows in the rest of the drawing. It's always good to identify your light source before you start adding the shadows, just so everything is like in cohesion, so everything makes sense together, because sometimes you'll forget what you're doing and then you just like all of a sudden shadows are in the opposite place and it's just a mess. So I always find it helpful identifying my light source first. So once the base illustration was done, completed, I duplicated that canvas. So I had a duplicate of the illustration, and I flattened down everything on the duplicate so that I had just a basic flat illustration. So then what I did is I brought back my sketch layer so I could have a semi-transparent plan for where I'm going to add the animated objects. So I basically have 3 layers in this canvas right here. I've got the illustration, the sketch layer, and then I added another layer where I'm going to be adding all of the moving assets. And if you remember from my other animation Procreate videos, every layer is a different frame on Procreate once you turn on the animation assist. I'm just adding all of the moving assets onto the same frame so it just makes it a little bit easier, because none of the animated things are touching. So there isn't really no problem in having them all on the same layer. So then I just went through my sketch layer and added in all of the things that I wanted to be moving. So little flowers in the troughs over there at the front. Is it troughs or troughs? And the macrame plant swinging in the breeze, and the cat over there on the rooftop area. And basically what I did was just draw out the first frame of the animation, then deleted my sketch layer and turned off animation assist. And this gives you a little timeline at the bottom if you're not aware of how Procreate Animate works. It gives you a timeline at the bottom, and every layer that you create and draw on is another frame in your animation. So So I turned the base illustration into our background so that it is visible in every frame throughout the looping animation. I then went in and added all the extra details on our first frame here. And once I was happy with how all the animated assets looked, I duplicated that layer so that I basically don't have to redraw everything. I just take the same layer, I duplicate it, and then I move or erase the bit that's going to be moving and change it a little bit with every frame. So here with the cat, I just moved its tail a little bit, and then I will go over to the plant pot over there and I highlight that area and move it a little bit. And because, as I said, none of our animated assets are touching, I can just go around the frame and highlight what I want to move at a time. So yeah, that way everything's still on the same layer, but I can still move them individually as I want to. Just making the flowers sway in the breeze as well. And then also the macrame dangling pot over here. And I just kept doing this, duplicating the layer, moving things a little bit here and there. And then I wanted things to like do a sort of a ping pong, so going back and forward. So I just did the first motion until it stopped, and I made the frames stay where they were for a few frames just so it pauses there, the movement stops, and then made everything swing back in the opposite direction. I really hope this makes sense. It's very hard to explain this, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing here and kind of understand what I'm saying. So I made everything kind of sway to the left and then pause there for a second and then sway back to the right. And then once everything's done, I can actually set the animation to looping or ping pong, and it will all look really seamless and sway back and forth without a little gap in between. And what I did, I used the warp tool as well in some of the moving assets just to make things like move a little bit more and not look so stiff. That's like a little pro tip. If you don't want to redraw something, you can always try and warp it. But with the flowers, I ended up redrawing them in some of the frames because I wanted them to open up a little bit in some of the frames and then close back down, depending on the perspective. So it's really up to you and how much you're wanting to, put into it. But I wanted it to look really nice and simple and calm. And yeah, that was pretty much it. As you can see here, I had it on loop, but I actually later on changed it to be ping pong. So yeah, here we go. That's what it looks like. I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's very simple, very calm, very chill, which is what we wanted. So then once you're happy with what you've got, you can actually export it either as a GIF or as an MP4. And here's where you can also play around with the frame rate. You can also do this before you export it, but I always like seeing it like in the exporting page and mess around with the frame rates here just because it's a final look at things. And once you're done, here it is. This is the final looping lo-fi GIF that we made here. It's very chill, very calm, a very nice little flower shop. I hope this helped. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thank you again to PaperLike for sponsoring today's video, and yeah, hope everyone's doing okay, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.